Cinema has always played a major role in disclosure, and I don't mean indirectly. I mean deliberately, consistently, and predictively. When Steven Spielberg made Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he didn't just imagine a UFO story. He studied real Air Force encounters, radar data, and witness testimony pulled directly from Project Blue Book, the US government's own UFO investigation. He didn't invent the phenomenon. He interpreted it.
They're right by us right now. That was really close.
Then came E.T., a film that reframed extraterrestrials not as invaders, but as intelligent, emotional, even empathetic. Decades later, Pentagon reporting would describe UAP encounters where objects appear to react to pilots, adjusting movement, responding to presence. And the technology. Hollywood showed it to us long before we owned it. Things like touchscreens, drones, voice-controlled AI, surveillance orbs, augmented reality. But here's the part almost no one is connecting. For the first time ever, Hollywood, the classified world, and the political system are all circling the same conversation, and at the same time. When those worlds align, we're not seeing coincidence, we're seeing preparation. Cinema prepares the emotions before the truth arrives. Close Encounters wasn't fantasy. It was built from patterns repeatedly found in UFO case files. Things such as structured craft, multiple independent witnesses, missing time, electromagnetic interference, emotional after effects, and rapid military containment. That's why the film feels different. It doesn't feel imagined, it feels remembered. His film wasn't science fiction, it was disclosure, decades early. Cinema doesn't tell us what to think, it teaches us how to feel before reality catches up. These films quietly normalize ideas that once felt impossible. They soften resistance, they expand imagination. They prepare us. And now, after decades away from the subject, Spielberg is returning to UFO cinema. Only a couple of weeks ago, the first trailer for Disclosure Day dropped. Not as nostalgia, not as fantasy, as relevance.
Today's.
The themes are unmistakable. Secrecy, contact, institutional silence, and a world on the edge of revelation. And look at the timing. Congressional hearings, whistleblowers under oath. Documentaries like The Age of Disclosure reaching mainstream audiences. Public interest is rising. It's not fading.
People are ready to receive the truth.
Humanity is not the only intelligence in the universe.
Spielberg doesn't release films like this randomly. He releases them when the conversation has already started. So ask yourself, why this story? Why now? Here's some quick clarity, because this matters. When I say government in this episode, I don't mean elections or parties. I mean the machine. Defense Department, intelligence, government contractors, and the classified pipeline. Politics is the pressure system. Government is the infrastructure. Sometimes they cooperate, and sometimes they don't. This world operates through special access programs, or SAPs. Programs so restricted only specific people are read in. Disclosure circles also talk about USAPs, unacknowledged special access programs. Programs alleged to exist outside public acknowledgement. These are your black projects, the ones we're not meant to know about or ever hear about. There's debate around labels, but the idea is consistent. Layers within layers. In theory, oversight exists. That role belongs to the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, Congress's independent watchdog. But even the GAO has documented programs it couldn't fully access. When the watchdog can't get answers, you're dealing with deep secrecy. These conversations happen inside SCIFs. They're sensitive, compartmented information facilities. That's a secure room for classified briefings. No phones, no recordings, no leaks. And the voices speaking out come from within the IC, the intelligence community. 17 agencies responsible for national security. When the age of disclosure landed on Prime Video, it reignited the conversation.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
We learned that the U.S. government was involved in a long-running secret war with other nations to collect and reverse engineer vehicles not made by humans.
A documentary doesn't prove anything, but it does shift what people feel comfortable discussing. It moves the Overton window. Even decades ago, governments documented UFO encounters as real events, whether or not they could explain them. Military pilots, radar data, official reporting. That doesn't prove extraterrestrials. But it proves this subject has lived inside official channels for a very long time. This is where secrecy starts to strain. For the first time, Congress isn't asking politely. They're issuing subpoenas, calling whistleblowers, rewriting oversight laws, demanding access to classified programs, and forcing transparency from the DoD, the Department of Defense. This isn't curiosity anymore, it's confrontation. The Pentagon responds by creating AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. AARO says it has found no confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial technology, but it also says many of the cases remain unresolved due to limited data. And that gap between unresolved and nothing to see is exactly where public trust fractures. One of the most important voices in the conversation is Marco Rubio. Today, Rubio is Secretary of State. But the UAP comments people reference come from his earlier role on the Senate Intelligence Committee, where he reviewed classified testimony and spoke directly with whistleblowers.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis.
He publicly acknowledged that some programs remained inaccessible. If someone at that level can't access everything, who can? And then there's the White House. Donald Trump is the current president, which changes the stakes. Members of Congress have openly stated they're pushing for deeper access, higher level briefings, and accountability around UAP programs. What we can say responsibly is this: pressure is moving upward. And when an issue reaches the president's desk, the timeline changes. None of this happened by accident. People like David Grush, who testified under oath about programs beyond oversight. Or David Fravor, a decorated Navy pilot who encountered an object with no visible propulsion and extraordinary performance. Or Ryan Graves, who described repeated encounters reported by military pilots. And then there's officials like Christopher Mellon and Luis Elizondo, who pushed information out when internal paths stalled. These weren't attention grabs. They were pressure points. 3 timelines, 1 moment. Here's why this moment feels different. Hollywood, Spielberg returns, Disclosure Day drops, public curiosity accelerates, the classified world, whistleblowers emerge, oversight cracks appear, silence fractures, politics, bipartisan pressure, new legislation, White House gravity. Not during Roswell, not during the Cold War, not during Project Blue Book. We've never seen this alignment before. And alignment always precedes change. So here's the question everything leads to. Is disclosure something that's going to happen? Or something that's already happening? Disclosure isn't an announcement. It's a sunrise. First, it's dim, barely noticeable. Then one day you realize the world feels different. Governments don't disclose because they're ready. They disclose because they must. Because pressure builds. Because silence breaks. Because truth surfaces. And if Hollywood is preparing us emotionally, if the classified world is straining, if Congress keeps pushing, and the White House becomes part of the gravity, then maybe disclosure isn't coming someday. Maybe it's already begun. And as usual, we've got a poll for everybody out there watching, and it's: where will disclosure come from first? Will it be Hollywood? Will Congress get the answers? Will whistleblowers have enough? Will the president or the White House announce something very unexpected? Or we're not going to see it. Disclosure's not coming. The narrative is still way too controlled. All right, everybody, thanks again. Happy that you joined us on another episode of Existence Unknown. And this year there will be plenty more to come, so please stay around. I'm Mike. I'll see you next time. Be sure to stay curious and make sure that you share what you know with those that are willing to listen.